Peace to the people, power to the peaceful. The Black Heart Media is bullying your broadman. And today, I'm trying to answer a question. And that the question was in my opening graphic. But while I've been attempting to answer that question, I stumbled upon this little tidbit here. And it shows me that the people of the United States have had many opportunities and many levers of this republic that they could pull to combat the corruption that has manifested in the policymakers in the United States. You know, the so-called Jepstein class in this current Jepstein world order. And honestly, you know, it's little tidbits like this that make me realize that that whole shining castle on the hill was actually a thing that the United States could be if the culture of the people and the culture in the people was moving them to, as the song goes, make this little light of theirs shine. You know what I mean? But what baffles me about this whole situation and what I've found is that with these levers of justice of the republic, so much justice could have been moved toward for the people by the people. But this is the same culture that has historically and twice this year gone around the law to exact justice, also known as lynching, because that is basically what it's called. Well, that is not basically, that is exactly what it is: vigilante justice. So I'm left scratching my head as I attempt to answer the question that I posed in the beginning of the video, because these same people who, now that's referencing the whole UN thing, the UN decision on slavery, and what the United States chose to say, basically that there was no wrong done because there were no laws broken. Okay, we're going to run with that logic for a second. The same culture that's going to hold that to the chest and claim that that's part of their DNA, that same culture had the legal ability to address decades of corruption. And you know what? I'm just going to start at the 30s, because of Smedley Butler being the last patriot, and really, in my opinion, being the last time that the majority population had the option to redirect America for the people. But even if we consider that, we started Smedley Butler, and I give you up until 1980 to say that yes, you were under corruption. Since 1980s, you've had plenty of revelations. The majority population of the West of the United States has had plenty of revelations come to light for the people to say, hey, we're going to use these levers that we see on screen here. We're going to use these levers to address the corruption in our government so that the people, not only America, can be in a better place. But just because that's supposedly what they say with their ideas and ideals, what they want and what they're supposed to be moving to. But we see none of that. We see none of that. We see them use this republic to allow corruption, and like, let's just talk about the insider trading, which is one of the actions that actually helped lead America into the Great Depression. Now, we know that there's a lot of insider trading going on, and we always hear people point to Nancy Pelosi because, you know, they want to stand on this ridiculous left-right garbage, which you really had to ride on a school bus that's not tall to still be invested in. But they point out to Pelosi, like, and they say that, okay, she's doing all this. Cool. Use those levers that are on screen. But what did the culture of the people in United States move them to do? What did the culture in the people move the people of the West to do? Instead of use those levers that are on screen, to make an app so that they can invest as well and make money off the corruption that has already destroyed America in a huge way once. I'm sorry, not once, because when you look at all these banking crises, it's been multiple times over the decades. But no, did they use did they use the law? Did they use their legal ways to address that? No, they didn't. They used the republic to allow it to continue to elect, select, and then allow it. But we do have some history that shows that they will use the levers of the republic and more to get what they want. But apparently only when there's a black administration. And that happened in Wilmington. Now, here in Wilmington, we had a situation where there was a black mayor elected to the city with a mostly black administration. And apparently, people representative of the majority population of America, the culture in them, the culture of those people, couldn't allow them to be managed by someone who wasn't from West Asia, falsely called Europe. And what they did was what we saw in Black Wall Street, Tulsa, Oklahoma. And in this situation, it's an actual and literal government coup d'etat. The white population grabbed their guns and they just said no and overthrew the lawful. Remember, because like I said, the UN, the reason that the United States voted against the UN ruling that slavery was it a human rights violation or something? I'm sorry, I know that's bad of me to not know exactly what they said. Anywho, because they said that their reasoning was that it was no issue because it was lawful, right? Cool. But some representatives from that culture literally overthrew the lawful government of Wilmington, and then attempted to murder some folk. Well, not attempted to, they murdered people, had a massacre, and drove out the managers, the duly elected and selected managers of Wilmington. But they couldn't use the levers of their republic to get out the people who were blocking the Kennedy assassination, the people who were behind getting the manufacturing out of the United States. What else? They couldn't use the law to address their church, who they pay tithes to every Sunday, even though that same church bends over their prayer, the little prayer boys, whatever they altar boys, and turns them into fleshlights. Nope, they couldn't do that. They didn't do that for so many situations. When they come to find, even down to some of the other people I'm getting ready to post this video on Facebook, Instagram. The culture, every time that those people said that they didn't do something and come to find out they did it behind the scenes, like leaking your data to Cambridge Analytica, which they used to build their AI, which helped get Trump elected the first time. If you know, so many things they could have used this system, the levers of the republic, to address. But they were so happy and so ready to use those levers, plus other extreme measures against American citizens who just didn't happen to be from West Asia. The answer to my question is becoming painfully clear. So things like this right here could be easily addressed. As a matter of fact, as I just stated, had the culture of the people, the culture in the people. Now, and this is where, like I said, I still use Instagram and Facebook, so I'm guilty as well, but this is not my culture. So if the culture of the people and if the culture in the people moved them for justice for the people, I don't even think that this company would still exist. But because of the culture and the people, this is going to continue. But what's even bigger is what's next. Because there's no way America saw this. It's no way the culture of the people, the culture in the people, was exposed to this on screen. And America did nothing. And you know what? Take a moment.
While I was there, I saw the Iraqi soldiers come into the hospital with guns. They took the babies out of the incubators. Took the incubators and left the children to die on the cold floor.
The U.S. public is outraged. The result? Support for land war zooms. It's a turning point. Desert Storm is launched. One small problem. There never were any incubator baby deaths. Not one. Reveals the girl to be the Kuwaiti ambassador's daughter, given her lines and coached in acting by the giant American PR firm Hill and Knowlton. This man is lying.
I myself buried 14 newborn babies that had been taken from their incubators.
This man is lying.
And they had kids in incubators, and they were thrown out of the incubators so that Kuwait could be systematically dismantled.
There were a lot of people who participated in a...
Now remember, the American people, the majority population, has the options to say everybody involved with these issues like this should have been removed from office. Because we know this caused so much death and suffering, and we also know that it caused so many of the US's citizens to come back messed up in the head, man. And it was also literally a continuation of just the corruption that has been going on for some time in this country, plenty of which has already been revealed, and like this here, no actions have been taken, even though the American public has those levers in their grasp at all times. The answer to the opening question from this video is becoming painfully clear. And as a layman, I also recognize that there are other analyses that go into something as complex as this. You know, Machiavelli touched on the power dynamics. Gustave Le Bon talked about how the crowd gets together and activates. And I'm pretty sure there are others whose insights will lead to further and deeper analysis into the situation. But we can say at this point with, I would say, 90% clarity and accuracy that the answer to the question posed, and that is whether or not at this point, with the revelations of corruption, whether or not the United States culture is a victim or an accomplice. At this point, they are very much an accomplice. Now, why is that important to us? It's because with this administration and the environment that it creates, it offers us a unique opportunity to do exactly what needs to be done. And that's what Dead Prez said, to make a dread out of the strands of hair, because one dread is much stronger than one wick is stronger than a couple of strands. And from there, once we on code, the mission won't be able to fold. We already have enough leverage. We already have enough people in enough places. But I'm already saying too much, so excuse me on that. But on that note, on this little bit of a cultural analysis, I think we found the answers that we need for the sons and daughters of freemen and freedmen, for the cousins of the diaspora, for the victims, for those whose ancestors were victims of the triangle trade. This is for you to take note. For those who are on code, like I said, when we all on code, the mission can't fold. No, not even that. It's just like the West. When enough of us are on code, the mission can't fold. So it don't even got to be all of us. It just has to be enough of us. And for the rest of y'all, I mean, hey, you see what you aligning with. And if we see that's... Anywho, on that note, peace to the people, power to the peaceful. The Black Heart Media is out. Thank you for tuning in. This is my first joint. It's a little bit of it's very much a freestyle, and as I move forward, I'm going to try to be a little more succinct and to the point. Probably got to go and start writing scripts or at least an outline. But yeah, I thank you for tuning in. If there are some things that I left out, if there are any other things that need to be considered within this conversation, please drop them in the comments, because this is not me just talking to people. This is just me saying my piece of the conversation, and I welcome everybody else to join in. And this is not just for the sons and daughters of freedmen and freemen. This is not just for the victims of the triangle trade, the cousins of the diaspora. This is for Americans, because as I've stated, the options that the people have are many. And if the majority population, if they do what they're supposed to do, they can reshine their their shining spot on the hill. Potentially. Maybe. See, I have hope. I'm not old enough to be on Dick, even though I got that Dick Gregory energy in me. I'm still young enough to have hope. Or I could still be just a idealistic romantic. But neither here nor there at this point. I'm just ranting. Again, thank you all for tuning in. Peace to the people. Power to the peaceful.